Hello everyone, I hope you are doing good. In the previous video we learned about stack. We did both with arrays and with linked list. I hope you got all the basic concept. And before going to our new topic, that is queue, I want to show you the stack figure one more time so that you can take the reference while learning queue. So this was the figure I showed you while teaching about stack. I hope you remember this. There are two main points here that will give you reference to queue when we learn queue in the later part. First is LIFO. It works on LIFO. Means last input is the first output. Means the item that is entered last will be the first to come out. And here we have only one pointer that is pointing to the last item that is inserted. And this is the item that will get pop out. So this is a basic concept of stack. I hope you got this, and we did with both arrays and linked list. Today we learn about a new topic called queue. So let's cut out this and go to queue. So this is our just queue. So this is just a program, nothing we added, nothing here, just we wrote that. Today we'll learn about queue. So before going directly to the code, I want to give you a demonstration how this queue work. So let's go to our Paint 3D. I did not edit the video, it's just and to show you directly what I mean to say. So this is just a figure. This may not make any sense now, but slowly by slowly it will make sense. So we'll explain queue using these figures. So in the stack you saw there was only one pointer. The pointer just pointing to the top. But here we have two. So what are these two? There are two types. One is the rear and one is the front. What does this mean? You'll understand slowly by slowly. But first let me say here what this means. Front. Okay. There are two pointing in the earlier there was only one pointer that was pointing to the top, but here we have two pointer. One is pointing to the rear and one is front. What is the rear mean? So the rear is it is pointing to the block where our new item is added. Means whenever we add a item, this rear, the position of rear will change. This will be pointing to the item that is just being created. And the front will always point to the first element of this queue. So here if you write here front, just write front. So this will always point to the first element in the queue. So let me just show this. I'm trying to show you in demonstration so that you understand it very clearly. So suppose this is our rear line and this is our front line. So how does it work? In a stack it works on LIFO, means last input first output. But here we want that first input is our first output. So this is the main difference between queue and stack. In stack it was like last input was the first output, first output. But in queue it is first input and that is only the first output. So this is the main difference between queue and stack. I hope you got this. Now let me show with the help of demonstration how this queue works. So at first the rear and front are pointing to no part of this stack. It is just pointing to -1. You can just write here. If you go to the rear and this, you can just write here -1. It is not pointing to anything till now. So we can just write it the position we can write it -1. And here you can see the position numbered as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Before anything is created, the rear and the front points to -1 each. But I'll show you now here when we add a first item. Suppose we are adding an item. So I'll go here, I'll put here, we'll enter in the color green. So first item we'll add here. Then in this position the rear will point to this. And the front will also point to this. I hope you're getting this. When we add our first element, this is our first element. You saw I pointed in green, others are in white. So when we added the first element or first data, the rear and front will point to the same, that is the 0. It will increase by 1. But when we add one more, suppose we add one more here, then in this case front will be same, it will be pointing to 0, but our rear will move to this. So that is the difference between rear and front. As we suppose we are going on, we are adding some more some more data inside this queue. In this way, our rear pointing will be changing. Now it will point to this 5, but it will not point to 1. But you can see that the pointing of front is same. It will always point to the first element that was added first, the element that was added first. Now how the deletion occurs, you know that in stack I said you the last element that will be added is the one that is to be deleted first. The last element is to be deleted first. So if suppose now last is the last element, we added 5, so to be deleted we should delete 5, means it is in the this way, is like right to left perspective. But in queue we delete the one that was first added. You know that 0 was the first added. So if you want to delete, we can just, if you want to delete, then we'll delete first this one. We'll delete the one that was first added. 0 was added for the first time. You can see that when all of this, first we added 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. So when we want to delete, first we'll delete this. First the 0 will be deleted. Now the front will change its position. The front end now will points to 1, because the 0 is deleted and there is nothing in 0, so our front will change. So this is the main concept of queue. Let me say one more time. So let's just go back. Let's go back and here. Okay. At the first, when we add any element, the rear and the front points to the same element. This is the first element that is added in queue, or the data that is added in queue. But as we start increasing increasing the data, suppose we go 1, 2, 3, we put here 3 data, then the rear pointing will change. The rear will now point to 3, while our front will still point to the one that it was pointing from the earlier, because front is the one that is to be deleted and the rear is the one, it is the item that is being added. So if you want, you can just write here, front will point only to the one that is to be deleted. This is to be deleted. So the front will point to the one that is to be deleted, and rear is the one that is pointing to the one that is recently been added. So that is the main difference between pointer, that's rear and front. But in stack there was only one, the top, because we wanted to delete only the one that was added in the last. But in queue, this is the only difference, that whatever is the first element added, this will be deleted first, and whatever is added later on, this will be deleted one by one as we go forward. The first 0 will be deleted, then 1, then 2, then 3. But in stack, first 3 will be deleted, then 2, then 1, then 0. So this is the main concept of queue. I hope I could able to make you understand easily by using this queue. So that is the main concept of this video. Today we talked only just how queue is how queue is described. In queue there are some, as in stack it was like push, pop and all that. In queue it is like queue, dequeue, and all that. Queue, dequeue, and we can display anything if you want to display. So these are the things that is used in queue. So we'll be doing one by one all this queue, dequeue and display. We'll be doing all of them slowly by slowly. But for now, it is the main concept is to understand how this queue works. I hope you got all the basic concept. So let me say one more time. At first, the rear and front will be pointing to -1, because this is the time when there is nothing in the queue. There are no items in the queue. But when we start increasing, the value will change by adding 1 plus 1. At first, when the first element is added, both the rear and front points to the same element. But as we start increasing, the position of rear changes, but the front remains the same. It points to the one that was firstly been added. And we know that in queue, first input, first output work. So 0 was added for the first time, 0 was added. So 0 will be the first one to be deleted. And after we delete 0, our pointer to the front will change. So when we delete 0, after deleting 0, our pointer will not point to 0, but it will instead point to 1. So that is the main concept of queue. I hope you got this. In the next video, we'll learn how to implement this using array, linked list, and we'll be doing some exercise also. So thank you guys for watching. See you in the next.